Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting, and every second feels like a hammer pounding against your patience. Or maybe it's that moment when someone says something that cuts deep and your emotions are ready to explode. We've all been there. Moments when life feels chaotic and keeping calm feels impossible. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. Let's get into it. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. Let's get into it. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm, but here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. Let's get into it. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter, but here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. Let's get into it. But here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring the chaos. It's about mastering it. It's about building a mindset so strong that no matter what storm comes your way, you stand steady. And today, we're diving deep into how you can train your mind to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Because calmness also helps us regulate emotions. Emotions aren't bad, but they can take control if we don't learn to manage them. Anger, fear, and anxiety can hijack our thoughts, leading to decisions we later regret. But when we choose calmness, we create distance from those emotions. We acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate our actions. This isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about observing them with awareness and choosing how to respond. It's realizing that just because you feel something intensely doesn't mean you have to act on it immediately. That's emotional strength, and it starts with calmness. Another reason calmness is powerful is because it sets the tone for how others respond to us. Energy is contagious. If you're calm, people around you tend to mirror that energy. They feel safer, more open, and less defensive. This is especially important in relationships and leadership. People trust those who remain calm under pressure. It shows strength, stability, and confidence. On the other hand, reacting with anger or anxiety can escalate situations and break down trust. So choosing calmness isn't just about controlling your own experience. It shapes how the world responds to you. Calmness also protects our long-term health. Chronic stress is linked to a host of problems: heart disease, high blood pressure, weakened immune systems, and mental health struggles like anxiety and depression. When we cultivate calmness, we're not only improving our day-to-day experiences, but investing in our long-term well-being. We're reducing the stress hormones that wear down the body and creating space for rest, recovery, and balance. But perhaps the greatest power of calmness is that it brings clarity. When emotions settle, the mind becomes clearer. We can see situations as they are, not as our fears or frustrations paint them to be. We make better decisions because we're not driven by panic or emotion. We're driven by purpose and understanding. And this clarity opens the door to growth. It helps us learn from mistakes, approach challenges with curiosity, and find solutions we might have missed in the heat of the moment. Calmness isn't about being perfect or emotionless. It's about being present and steady. It's about realizing that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And in that response lies our greatest power. So learning to stay calm isn't just a personal preference. It's a life skill that influences everything from how we handle stress to how we build relationships and achieve goals. It's a practice, a choice, and a commitment to creating strength from within. One of the most important steps in mastering calmness is learning to identify your emotional triggers. These are the specific situations, people, or thoughts that cause intense emotional reactions, whether it's anger, frustration, anxiety, or sadness. Understanding your triggers is essential because it gives you awareness, and with awareness comes the power to change. You cannot control what you're unaware of, but once you can recognize what sets you off, you can start preparing for it, managing it, and responding with calmness rather than being overtaken by emotion. Emotional triggers are deeply personal. What upsets one person might not affect another. For some, it could be criticism from others, while for someone else, it might be feeling ignored or disrespected. Maybe it's a fear of failure, feeling misunderstood, or experiencing rejection. Sometimes triggers are tied to past experiences that left an emotional mark. Other times, they come from our deepest fears and insecurities. The key is realizing that while the trigger might be external, like a harsh comment from a CO worker, the emotional response it provokes is internal. It comes from how we perceive and interpret the situation. That's why identifying emotional triggers requires deep self-reflection. It means paying attention to patterns. When do you feel your emotions rising? What situations consistently lead to frustration, anger, or anxiety? What specific words, actions, or behaviors from others tend to set you off? Sometimes it's helpful to reflect on moments when you reacted strongly and ask yourself, why? What were you feeling? What thoughts were racing through your mind? What deeper beliefs or fears did those reactions connect to? This level of honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it's necessary for growth. For example, imagine feeling a surge of anger when someone interrupts you during a meeting. On the surface, it might seem like the interruption itself is the problem, but the deeper trigger could be a feeling of being disrespected or unheard. Maybe it connects to a past experience where you struggled to be taken seriously. By identifying that deeper trigger, you can begin to understand why your emotional reaction feels so intense. And more importantly, you can start working on how to respond to it with calmness instead of immediate frustration. Sometimes triggers are linked to limiting beliefs, stories we tell ourselves about who we are or how the world works. Maybe you believe that making mistakes means you're a failure, so every small error triggers anxiety. Or perhaps you believe that people are always judging you, so any criticism feels like a personal attack. These beliefs shape how we perceive situations, and they intensify our emotional reactions. The process of identifying triggers often reveals these beliefs, and once they come to the surface, you have the power to question them. Are they really true? Or are they just stories you've been carrying for too long? Recognizing emotional triggers also involves noticing physical reactions. The body often responds before the mind fully processes what's happening. Your heart rate might increase, your chest might tighten, or your muscles might tense. These are signals that you're being emotionally triggered, even if you're not fully aware of the cause yet. Tuning into these physical cues can help you catch emotional reactions early, giving you a moment to pause and choose how you respond instead of letting the emotion take over. Another important aspect of identifying triggers is understanding that some are situational, while others are related to relationships. Certain environments, like high-pressure workspaces or crowded social settings, might trigger anxiety or stress. On the other hand, specific people might trigger emotions because of past experiences, unresolved conflicts, or difficult dynamics. By noticing where and when these triggers appear, you can start to prepare for them. If you know certain meetings tend to stress you out, you can practice calming techniques beforehand. If a particular relationship feels tense, you can work on strategies to communicate more calmly and effectively. But it's not just about identifying triggers, it's about owning them. It's easy to blame external situations for our emotional reactions, but the truth is our emotions come from within. We can't always control what people say or do, but we can control how we process it. Owning your triggers means taking responsibility for your emotional responses. It means saying, this situation makes me feel this way, and I have the power to choose how I handle it. This mindset shift is empowering because it turns you from a victim of circumstance into someone who is actively shaping their emotional experience. The real goal is not to eliminate triggers, because life will always present challenges, but to build awareness and resilience around them. When you know your triggers, you're no longer blindsided by them. You can anticipate them, prepare for them, and respond with calmness. And each time you do, you weaken their power over you. What once caused immediate anger or anxiety becomes something you can face with strength and clarity. That's the beginning of emotional freedom. And it starts by simply paying attention and being honest with yourself. Understanding the science behind staying calm is essential because it explains why we react the way we do and how we can train our minds and bodies to respond differently. Our brains are wired for survival, and this wiring plays a huge role in how we handle stressful or emotional situations. When we face a challenge, whether it's a real danger or just a perceived threat, the brain activates what's known as the fight or flight response. This is an ancient survival mechanism designed to prepare us to either confront danger or run from it. While this response was crucial for our ancestors facing physical threats, in modern life it often gets triggered by non-life-threatening situations, like a stressful work deadline, an argument, or even a negative comment. When the fight or flight response is activated, the brain sends signals to release stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones prepare the body to react quickly. Your heart rate increases, muscles tense, and your breathing becomes faster. Blood flows away from non-essential systems, like digestion, and toward muscles that might need to act fast. This is why, in moments of stress, you might feel your stomach tighten, your palms sweat, or your body shake. Your brain is essentially hijacking your body to survive what it perceives as a threat. However, in most modern situations, this intense reaction isn't helpful. You don't need to fight or run from a difficult email or an awkward conversation, but your brain doesn't always distinguish the difference. This is where understanding the role of the brain becomes crucial. The part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response is the amygdala. It's like an alarm system that scans for danger and reacts quickly. But the amygdala doesn't always assess situations logically. It's wired to respond fast, often based on emotional memory. This is why you might overreact to a situation that reminds you of a past negative experience. On the other hand, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, decision-making, and impulse control, helps you evaluate situations and choose appropriate responses. The problem is, when the amygdala takes over in high-stress moments, it can override the prefrontal cortex. This is why people often say things they regret or make poor decisions when they're emotional. The logical part of the brain isn't fully engaged. Staying calm is about strengthening the connection to the prefrontal cortex and learning to regulate the amygdala's response. It's about training the brain to pause, reflect, and choose how to respond rather than reacting on impulse. This is where techniques like mindfulness, deep breathing, and grounding come in. These practices work because they activate the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest and digest system. This system is the counterbalance to fight or flight. When activated, it slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and promotes a sense of calm. Deep breathing, for example, signals to the brain that you're safe. It tells the body to relax, which helps deactivate the amygdala's alarm and re-engage the prefrontal cortex. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, is another key part of the science behind staying calm. The more you practice calm responses, the stronger those pathways in the brain become. It's like building a muscle. At first, it might feel difficult to stay calm when you're triggered, but with practice, it becomes easier. Each time you pause, breathe, and choose a thoughtful response, you're training your brain to default to calmness rather than panic. Over time, this changes the brain's structure and makes it easier to stay composed under pressure. Another scientific insight is the role of thought patterns in emotional responses. The brain is a prediction machine, constantly interpreting situations based on past experiences and assumptions. If you've been conditioned to expect negative outcomes, your brain might react with stress or anxiety, even when it's not necessary. Cognitive behavioral techniques can help here, encouraging you to challenge automatic negative thoughts and reframe them. For instance, instead of thinking, I always mess things up, you can reframe it to, I've faced challenges before and figured them out. This shift in thinking calms the brain, reduces emotional intensity, and creates space for better decisions. It's also important to understand that small daily stressors can accumulate and keep the brain in a low-level state of alertness. This is why consistent relaxation practices are so beneficial. Activities like meditation, regular exercise, and quality sleep help reset the nervous system and lower baseline stress levels. When the brain is less reactive in general, it's easier to stay calm when bigger challenges arise. In essence, the science behind staying calm isn't just about understanding how the brain reacts to stress, but also about knowing how to work with it. It's about recognizing the automatic responses, then using practical techniques to calm the body, engage the logical brain, and create new patterns of behavior. Calmness is a skill that anyone can develop, and the more we understand the brain's role in stress and reaction, the better equipped we are to take control of our responses. This scientific approach doesn't just lead to better emotional control, it fosters resilience, clarity, and long-term emotional strength. Breathing techniques are one of the most effective and immediate ways to create a sense of calm and control in stressful situations. Although breathing is something we do automatically, it is also one of the few bodily functions we can consciously control. This gives us a powerful tool to regulate our emotions and physical state when we feel overwhelmed. When we're stressed, anxious, or angry, our breathing tends to become shallow and rapid. This is a natural part of the body's fight or flight response, where the body prepares for action. However, rapid and shallow breathing can worsen feelings of anxiety, increase heart rate, and make it harder to think clearly. On the other hand, slow, deep, and controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for promoting relaxation and a sense of calm. One of the most basic yet effective techniques is diaphragmatic breathing, also known as belly breathing. This involves breathing deeply into the diaphragm rather than shallowly into the chest. To practice this, place one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. As you breathe in slowly through your nose, focus on expanding your stomach rather than your chest. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth. This type of breathing encourages full oxygen exchange, slows the heartbeat, and stabilizes blood pressure. Just a few minutes of diaphragmatic breathing can reduce feelings of stress and anxiety, bringing the body back to a state of calm. Another powerful technique is box breathing, which is often used by athletes, soldiers, and professionals in high-pressure situations. It's simple but highly effective. The method involves inhaling for a count of 4, holding the breath for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, and holding again for 4 counts. This creates a rhythm that helps regulate the breath and calm the nervous system. The structured nature of this technique also gives the mind something to focus on, helping to distract from racing or overwhelming thoughts. Practicing box breathing for just a few minutes can help reset the body's stress response and promote a sense of control and composure. 4 to 7-8 breathing is another excellent method, particularly effective for reducing anxiety and promoting relaxation. In this technique, you inhale deeply through the nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and then exhale completely through the mouth for a count of 8. The extended exhalation in this method is key because it encourages a deeper release of tension and signals to the brain that it's time to relax. The longer exhale helps in calming the heart rate and soothing the nervous system. This method is also popular for helping with sleep, as it encourages the body to move into a restful state. Alternate nostril breathing, a technique rooted in yoga and meditation practices, is another effective way to bring calm and balance. This involves closing one nostril and breathing in through the other, then switching sides for the exhale. This process is repeated, alternating sides with each breath. The method is believed to balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain, promoting mental clarity and emotional stability. Beyond the physical act of controlling breath, this technique also encourages mindfulness, as it requires focus and intention with each inhale and exhale. Breathing techniques work not just because they affect the physical body, but because they influence the mind. When we consciously control our breath, we bring ourselves into the present moment. Stress and anxiety often stem from thinking about the past or worrying about the future, but focusing on the breath grounds us in the now. Each inhale and exhale becomes an anchor that pulls us away from overthinking and into the experience of the moment. This presence alone can reduce feelings of overwhelm and help us gain perspective. Moreover, conscious breathing trains the brain to respond differently to stress over time. Regular practice strengthens the brain's ability to manage emotional reactions. When you repeatedly practice calming breathwork, your brain begins to associate stressful situations with these calming techniques. Over time, you build resilience, and the automatic response to stress becomes less intense. Instead of immediately reacting with panic or frustration, your body learns to pause, breathe, and approach the situation with greater calm and clarity. Breathing techniques also offer the advantage of accessibility. You don't need any special equipment, and you can use them anytime, anywhere. Whether you're in a tense meeting, stuck in traffic, or lying awake at night, these methods are always available. The simplicity of breathwork makes it one of the most practical tools for managing stress. It's a reminder that no matter how chaotic the external world becomes, there is always a way to find calmness within. The key to making breathing techniques effective is consistency. While they can provide immediate relief, their power grows with regular practice. By incorporating breathwork into daily routines, whether during morning meditations, before bed, or in moments of quiet, you strengthen the habit of turning to the breath in stressful situations. Over time, this consistent practice doesn't just calm the moment, but reshapes how you experience and respond to stress altogether. Breathing techniques are not just about controlling the body, but about mastering the mind. They teach patience, presence, and control. They remind us that even when we can't control external circumstances, we can always control how we respond. And sometimes the simplest act of taking a deep, intentional breath is enough to shift us from chaos to calm. Practicing mindfulness is one of the most effective ways to cultivate calmness in any situation. Mindfulness is the act of being fully present and engaged in the current moment, without judgment or distraction. It means observing your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings with openness and acceptance. This practice helps you become aware of what's happening in your mind and body, which is essential for managing stress and emotional reactions. When you're mindful, you create space between your thoughts and reactions, giving yourself the opportunity to choose how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. This is the foundation for maintaining calmness, especially in difficult or emotional situations. In daily life, most people operate on autopilot. Thoughts race from one to the next, emotions build without being noticed, and reactions happen almost instantly. This automatic behavior is driven by the brain's desire to conserve energy and rely on patterns. However, when faced with stress or challenges, these automatic reactions are often unhelpful, leading to overreactions, frustration, or anxiety. Mindfulness breaks this cycle by encouraging you to slow down and observe what's happening inside and around you. Instead of being lost in thought or controlled by emotion, mindfulness invites you to simply notice without trying to change or judge. The core of mindfulness is observation. For example, when you're feeling anxious, practicing mindfulness means noticing the sensation of anxiety without resisting it or getting swept away by it. You might observe how your chest feels tight, how your thoughts are racing, or how your hands feel restless. Instead of judging the anxiety or labeling it as bad, you acknowledge it as a temporary experience. This non-judgmental awareness is powerful because it removes the added layer of stress that comes from resisting emotions. Often, it's not the emotion itself that causes the most discomfort, but the struggle against it. When you accept the feeling for what it is, it often becomes less intense and easier to manage. Mindfulness also involves bringing attention to the present moment. Stress and anxiety frequently come from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But the present moment is the only place where calmness exists. One effective way to ground yourself in the present is through sensory awareness. This means focusing on what you can see, hear, smell, touch, and taste. For instance, you can notice the texture of the chair you're sitting on, the sounds of birds outside, or the feeling of air moving in and out of your lungs. These simple observations help anchor you in reality and pull you away from anxious thoughts. Breathing is another powerful anchor in mindfulness. When emotions feel overwhelming, paying attention to the rhythm of your breath can create a sense of calm. You don't have to change your breath, just notice it. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters your nose, the rise and fall of your chest, and the warmth of your breath as you exhale. By focusing on the breath, you direct your attention away from stressful thoughts and into the body's natural rhythm. This simple act of observation can bring immediate calm and clarity. Mindfulness also encourages curiosity and compassion. Instead of reacting harshly to yourself when you feel stressed or emotional, mindfulness teaches you to approach these experiences with kindness. If you notice anger rising, instead of judging yourself for feeling it, you can ask, "Why am I feeling this way?" Or "What's triggering this response?" This approach transforms emotional experiences into opportunities for understanding and growth. It fosters self-compassion, which is essential for long-term emotional balance. When you treat yourself with kindness, you reduce internal conflict and create a safe space for calmness to develop. Another key element of mindfulness is accepting that thoughts and emotions are temporary. Everything you feel is part of a passing experience. No matter how intense a moment of stress or anger feels, it will eventually pass. Mindfulness helps you sit with discomfort and observe its rise and fall. By doing so, you avoid reacting impulsively or getting stuck in negative thought patterns. Instead of feeding the emotion with overthinking or judgment, you allow it to move through you. This process naturally reduces emotional intensity and promotes calm. The practice of mindfulness extends beyond meditation. While formal meditation is a powerful way to build mindfulness, it can also be integrated into everyday activities. For example, when you're eating, you can focus on the taste and texture of the food, rather than rushing through the meal while thinking about work. When you're walking, you can feel each step and notice the sensation of your feet connecting with the ground. When you're having a conversation, you can give the other person your full attention, listening without judgment or distraction. These simple, everyday practices strengthen mindfulness and train your mind to stay present. Consistency is key when developing mindfulness. The more often you practice bringing awareness to the present moment, the stronger your ability to remain calm under pressure. Over time, mindfulness becomes a habit, a natural way of approaching life. You start to notice when stress arises earlier, giving you the chance to pause, breathe, and choose your response. You become less reactive, more thoughtful, and better equipped to handle challenges. Mindfulness is about creating space to observe, to reflect, and to choose. It's about stepping out of the automatic cycle of reaction and stepping into conscious awareness. This space is where calmness grows. It's where you find clarity and control, even in the most difficult situations. Mindfulness doesn't remove life's challenges, but it transforms how you experience them. It gives you the tools to face stress with grace, to sit with discomfort without fear, and to move through life with a steady sense of calm. Cultivating emotional resilience is a crucial element in learning how to remain calm in any situation. Emotional resilience refers to the ability to adapt to stressful situations, recover from adversity, and maintain a balanced perspective even when life becomes challenging. It's not about avoiding difficult emotions or pretending that problems don't exist. Instead, it's about facing difficulties with strength, flexibility, and a mindset that encourages growth. When you develop resilience, you equip yourself with the tools to stay calm and composed, even when circumstances are difficult. This inner strength doesn't mean you won't feel stressed or upset, but it allows you to handle those emotions without being consumed by them. The foundation of emotional resilience starts with self-awareness. This means understanding your emotional triggers and recognizing how you typically respond to stress. When you are aware of what causes emotional reactions, you can start to manage them more effectively. For instance, if you notice that criticism makes you feel defensive, being aware of this reaction allows you to pause and choose how to respond instead of reacting impulsively. Self-awareness helps you identify emotional patterns and develop healthier ways to deal with them. It also allows you to catch negative thinking early, so you can shift your mindset before emotions escalate. Another key aspect of emotional resilience is cultivating a positive mindset. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about focusing on what you can control and finding opportunities for growth in adversity. Challenges often feel overwhelming because we focus on what's going wrong or what we can't change. But resilient individuals learn to reframe their thinking. They ask themselves questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this challenge to become stronger? This approach helps to shift focus away from the problem itself and toward possible solutions. It empowers you to take action, even when situations feel difficult, which naturally helps reduce feelings of helplessness and anxiety. A significant part of resilience is accepting that setbacks and failures are part of life. Everyone experiences challenges, disappointments, and moments of struggle. The difference lies in how we interpret and respond to those experiences. Resilient individuals see setbacks as temporary and specific rather than permanent and global. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed, so I'm a failure," a resilient person might think, "This didn't work out, but it doesn't define me. I can learn from this and try again." This way of thinking reduces emotional intensity and keeps perspective balanced. It reinforces the belief that no challenge is final and that growth is always possible. Building emotional resilience also involves strengthening coping mechanisms. These are the strategies you use to deal with stress in a healthy way. Positive coping mechanisms might include talking to someone you trust, practicing relaxation techniques, engaging in physical activity, or spending time in nature. These activities not only reduce stress, but also help build emotional strength over time. The more you rely on healthy coping mechanisms, the stronger your resilience becomes. On the other hand, it's important to avoid negative coping strategies, such as ignoring problems, substance use, or lashing out at others. While these might offer temporary relief, they often worsen stress in the long run and weaken resilience. Developing emotional resilience is also about building strong relationships. Connection with others provides emotional support and perspective, especially during difficult times. Being able to talk about challenges and share feelings helps reduce emotional burdens and fosters a sense of belonging. Relationships also offer different viewpoints, which can help in seeing problems from a more balanced perspective. Knowing that you have people who care about you creates a sense of security, making it easier to remain calm even when life feels uncertain. Resilient individuals nurture their relationships by being open, supportive, and willing to ask for help when needed. An essential element of resilience is learning to regulate emotions. This means being able to manage emotional responses, especially in high-pressure situations. Techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, or simply pausing to reflect can help in managing intense emotions. It's about learning to sit with discomfort without letting it control your actions. For example, when you feel anger rising, instead of immediately reacting, you can take a few deep breaths, acknowledge the emotion, and give yourself time to think about how you want to respond. This ability to pause and reflect helps prevent regrettable actions and supports long-term calmness. Another way to strengthen emotional resilience is by developing a sense of purpose. When you have a clear sense of what matters most to you, whether it's personal growth, relationships, or contributing to a cause, you gain motivation and strength during tough times. Purpose provides direction and meaning, which makes it easier to endure challenges. When faced with difficulties, you can remind yourself of your larger purpose, which offers encouragement and helps maintain perspective. Purpose anchors you, reminding you that struggles are temporary, but the values you live by are enduring. Resilience also requires self-compassion. Often people are harsh with themselves when they struggle, viewing mistakes as personal failures. But resilience grows when you treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. Acknowledging that it's okay to struggle, to feel upset, or to make mistakes is crucial. Self-compassion softens emotional responses, helping you recover from setbacks more quickly. It also reinforces the belief that difficulties do not diminish your worth, but are part of the human experience. Cultivating resilience is an ongoing process. It's built through small, consistent actions over time. Each time you face a challenge, you have the opportunity to practice resilience. Each time you choose to respond thoughtfully, seek support, or find strength in discomfort, you reinforce resilience. It becomes a habit, a mindset that shapes how you experience and overcome life's challenges. Emotional resilience doesn't remove stress, but it transforms how you handle it. It gives you the tools to remain calm, steady, and strong, even in the face of uncertainty. This inner strength becomes a foundation for confidence, clarity, and lasting calm. Positive self-talk is one of the most powerful tools for maintaining calmness and emotional balance in any situation. It refers to the internal dialogue that shapes how we perceive and respond to the world around us. This inner voice can either be a source of encouragement or a force that amplifies stress and negativity. Often, without realizing it, people engage in negative self-talk, criticizing themselves, doubting their abilities, or predicting negative outcomes. This inner negativity can increase anxiety, reduce confidence, and make it difficult to stay calm during challenging situations. However, by consciously shifting self-talk to be positive and supportive, it becomes easier to maintain composure and approach problems with a clear, balanced mind. The nature of self-talk significantly influences emotional states. When facing a difficult situation, negative self-talk might sound like, "I can't handle this," or "this is going to be a disaster." These statements, though internal, reinforce feelings of helplessness and fear. They magnify stress and make obstacles seem larger than they are. On the other hand, positive self-talk reframes the situation, encouraging resilience and calmness. Statements like, "I've handled challenges before and I can do it again," or "this is tough but I'll find a way through," promote a sense of control and confidence. This shift in perspective doesn't deny the difficulty, but strengthens the belief that it is manageable. Changing self-talk requires awareness. Often, negative thoughts arise automatically, shaped by past experiences and habitual thinking patterns. The first step is to become aware of these thoughts when they occur. This means pausing to notice when your internal dialogue turns critical or fearful. Are you assuming the worst? Are you being harsh on yourself? Are you focusing only on what could go wrong? By becoming aware of these patterns, you create the opportunity to challenge and change them. This process of observing thoughts without judgment is a key part of transforming self-talk. Once you recognize negative self-talk, the next step is to challenge its validity. Not every thought is true, and many are based on assumptions or exaggerated fears. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," pause and ask, "Is that really true? Or are there times when I've succeeded?" Often you'll find that negative thoughts are overgeneralized and not supported by facts. By questioning these thoughts, you weaken their power and open the door to more balanced thinking. This isn't about replacing every negative thought with forced positivity, but about finding a realistic and encouraging perspective. Another effective approach is to reframe negative thoughts into empowering statements. For instance, instead of thinking, "I can't handle this stress," you could reframe it as, "This is challenging, but I'm learning to manage it step by step." Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," you could say, "I'm still learning and I'm improving with practice." Reframing is about acknowledging difficulties while reinforcing your ability to cope and grow. This approach fosters a mindset of resilience, helping you stay calm and focused even when circumstances are tough. Another effective approach is to reframe negative thoughts into empowering statements. For instance, instead of thinking, "I can't handle this stress," you could reframe it as, "This is challenging, but I'm learning to manage it step by step." Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," you could say, "I'm still learning and I'm improving with practice." Reframing is about acknowledging difficulties while reinforcing your ability to cope and grow. This approach fosters a mindset of resilience, helping you stay calm and focused even when circumstances are tough. Another effective approach is to reframe negative thoughts into empowering statements. For instance, instead of thinking, "I can't handle this stress," you could reframe it as, "This is challenging, but I'm learning to manage it step by step." Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," you could say, "I'm still learning and I'm improving with practice." Reframing is about acknowledging difficulties while reinforcing your ability to cope and grow. This approach fosters a mindset of resilience, helping you stay calm and focused even when circumstances are tough. Another effective approach is to reframe negative thoughts. Visualization is another helpful technique for strengthening positive self-talk. This involves imagining yourself handling a situation calmly and successfully. Picture how you would feel, what you would say to yourself, and how you would act. Visualization primes the mind for positive experiences and reinforces the belief that you can manage challenges. It helps create mental pathways that support calm and constructive thinking when real situations arise. Over time, this mental rehearsal can make positive self-talk more automatic and natural. It's also important to recognize and celebrate small successes. Each time you handle a difficult situation with calmness and composure, acknowledge it. This reinforces positive self-talk and strengthens confidence. You might think, "I stayed calm in that conversation and I'm proud of that," or "I managed my stress today better than yesterday." These small affirmations build an internal narrative of strength and capability, making it easier to remain calm in future challenges. It's also important to recognize and celebrate small successes. Each time you handle a difficult situation with calmness and composure, acknowledge it. This reinforces positive self-talk and strengthens confidence. You might think, "I stayed calm in that conversation and I'm proud of that," or "I managed my stress today better than yesterday." These small affirmations build an internal narrative of strength and capability, making it easier to remain calm in future challenges. It's also important to recognize and celebrate small successes. Each time you handle a difficult situation with calmness and composure, acknowledge it. This reinforces positive self-talk and strengthens confidence. You might think, I stayed calm in that conversation and I'm proud of that, or I managed my stress today better than yesterday. These small affirmations build an internal narrative of strength and capability, making it easier to remain calm in future challenges. It's also important to recognize and celebrate small successes. Consistency is key in developing positive self-talk. The more you practice, the stronger the habit becomes. Initially, it may feel awkward or unnatural, especially if negative thinking has been a long-standing habit. But with time, repetition, and conscious effort, positive self-talk can become a natural and automatic response. It becomes the inner voice that supports rather than undermines, encourages rather than criticizes, and calms rather than agitates. Positive self-talk empowers you to become your own source of strength and encouragement. It reminds you that while external circumstances might be uncontrollable, the way you speak to yourself is within your power. It reinforces the belief that you are capable, adaptable, and strong. By consciously choosing to support yourself with kind, encouraging, and realistic thoughts, you build a foundation of inner calm that can carry you through any challenge. Positive self-talk doesn't eliminate stress, but transforms how you experience and respond to it. It equips you to face difficulties with confidence, resilience, and a steady sense of calm. Letting go of control is one of the most profound ways to cultivate calmness in any situation. Much of the stress, anxiety, and frustration people experience comes from trying to control aspects of life that are ultimately beyond their power, whether it's the behavior of others, unexpected outcomes, or uncontrollable circumstances. The desire to control everything can create a constant state of tension. However, learning to release this need for control and accept life as it unfolds is a powerful step toward inner peace. It doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive, but rather recognizing where your influence ends and embracing the freedom that comes from surrendering to what cannot be changed. One of the key reasons why letting go of control is difficult is that control gives the illusion of safety. People often believe that if they can predict and manage every outcome, they can avoid discomfort, failure, or disappointment. But the truth is, life is unpredictable. No amount of planning or effort can guarantee a specific result. Unexpected changes, mistakes, and external forces are part of the human experience. When you accept this reality, you stop fighting against the natural flow of life. Instead of resisting, you learn to move with circumstances, adapting as needed. This flexibility not only reduces stress, but also fosters resilience and strength. Letting go starts with identifying what you can and cannot control. You have control over your actions, choices, attitude, and responses. You can choose how to react to situations, how to treat others, and how to manage your own emotions. These are areas where effort and focus are valuable. However, you cannot control the opinions of others, the outcomes of situations, or unforeseen challenges. Worrying about these uncontrollable elements only drains energy and creates unnecessary stress. By focusing on what is within your influence and releasing the rest, you simplify your approach to life and cultivate a calmer mindset. A helpful way to practice letting go is to shift your focus from outcomes to efforts. Often stress arises from the fear that efforts won't lead to the desired result. But when you detach from the outcome and instead focus on doing your best in the present moment, you reduce anxiety. For example, if you're preparing for an important presentation, focus on the preparation itself, researching, practicing, and refining your skills rather than obsessing over how the audience will react. You cannot control their perception, but you can control your effort and attitude. This approach fosters a sense of calm and satisfaction, regardless of the outcome. Another essential element of letting go is embracing uncertainty. Uncertainty is a natural part of life, but many people struggle with it, feeling uncomfortable when they can't predict what will happen next. However, trying to resist uncertainty only creates more tension. Instead, accepting that some aspects of life are unknown allows you to relax into the present moment. You don't have to have all the answers or control every variable. You can trust that even in uncertainty, you will find ways to adapt and cope. This trust in your ability to handle the unknown builds emotional strength and reduces fear. Mindfulness is a powerful practice that supports the process of letting go. By focusing on the present moment, you stop projecting into the future or dwelling on the past. You experience life as it is without trying to control or manipulate it. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of becoming frustrated and trying to control the uncontrollable, you can choose to observe your surroundings, listen to calming music, or take deep breaths. Mindfulness helps you recognize that resistance only adds stress, while acceptance fosters peace. This doesn't mean you have to like every situation, but accepting reality as it is allows you to respond with clarity and calmness. Mindfulness is a powerful practice that supports the process of letting go. By focusing on the present moment, you stop projecting into the future or dwelling on the past. You experience life as it is without trying to control or manipulate it. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of becoming frustrated and trying to control the uncontrollable, you can choose to observe your surroundings, listen to calming music, or take deep breaths. Mindfulness helps you recognize that resistance only adds stress, while acceptance fosters peace. This doesn't mean you have to like every situation, but accepting reality as it is allows you to respond with clarity and calmness. Mindfulness is a powerful practice that supports the process of letting go. By focusing on the moment, you stop projecting into the future or dwelling on the past. You experience life as it is without trying to control or manipulate it. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of becoming frustrated and trying to control the uncontrollable, you can choose to observe your surroundings, listen to calming music, or take deep breaths. Mindfulness helps you recognize that resistance only adds stress, while acceptance. Another part of letting go is releasing control over other people. It's common to wish that others would behave in ways that align with your expectations, but the truth is you cannot control how others think, feel, or act. Trying to manage others' behavior often leads to frustration and conflict. Instead, focus on communicating clearly, setting healthy boundaries, and responding with understanding. Trust that others are responsible for their actions, just as you are for yours. This approach not only reduces unnecessary stress, but also improves relationships by fostering respect and acceptance. Forgiveness is also a profound way to practice letting go. Holding onto resentment or anger keeps you emotionally tied to the past, creating ongoing tension. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, but about releasing the emotional burden that comes with holding grudges. When you choose to let go of anger, you free yourself from emotional weight and create space for calmness and healing. This doesn't mean forgetting, but rather choosing not to let past hurt define your present experience. Letting go requires trust in yourself, in the process of life, and in your ability to handle whatever arises. Trusting yourself means believing in your capacity to cope with difficulties and adapt to change. It means knowing that even when things don't go as planned, you have the strength to move forward. Trusting the process of life means accepting that challenges can lead to growth and that not every struggle is a setback. Sometimes the things we can't control lead us to unexpected opportunities and deeper understanding. This trust reduces fear and opens the door to peace. Letting go is not a one-time decision, but a continuous practice. It's about reminding yourself moment by moment to release control over what you cannot change and focus